Okay, we are so we're on a ferry now from Bali to Java, the island Bali to the island of Java on the other side. We will get back on the bus and then go to Jakarta. I've just seen few interesting things now here about people jumping from the ferry in, and then I think others throwing stuff to them. It seems like maybe money or something like that, and then they will swim for the money. Then yeah, we recorded some of that. Okay, so let's continue. Verse 22. John 15, verse 22. If I had not come and spoken to them, they would not have been guilty of sin. But now they have no excuse for their sin. Okay, kind of simple and straightforward, Jesus is saying here. So if he didn't come, he didn't speak, then they wouldn't have known. Now, in Romans 1, Paul says, but we anyhow know that God exists, and we still choose to not know. We still choose our deeds. Jesus says, well, our deeds are evil. So this is here. What is Jesus now saying? If he didn't come, then actually it would have been better if he didn't come, because they wouldn't have known, and then no, they still would have known. Okay, but now it's even worse, because he came and he told them, and they still decided to not want to believe. So there's absolutely no excuse, right? There's absolutely no excuse ultimately for their sin. Just to get back to 22, we just moved a little bit from one side because people here in Indonesia still smokers heaven. They smoke everywhere. It's a little bit difficult breathing, right? So we just moved here. So no excuse for sin. So what they had no excuse, but now they have double no excuse, right? Because now it's not just nature, right? There's beautiful mountains that you can't see now, but when we came here the first time, the sunrise, so you could see beautiful mountains, volcano over there, volcanoes on this side, kind of. It's very beautiful here. It spoke of the fact that they're guilty, right? But now the sun himself spoke about it. So it's not just the mountain speaking about it, it's God himself speaking about it. So there's absolutely no excuse for their sin. Verse 23. Whoever hates me hates my Father also. So if you hate Jesus, you hate the Father. It's clear, it's simple, but I think we need to again look at the original readers of this to see how they would have heard these words. I mean, we understand these words kind of, we don't have such a big feeling for these words as these guys would have had, because they hated Jesus, right? The religious leaders, they hated Jesus. The Pharisees, Sadducees, they all hated Jesus. They always tried to get rid of Jesus. They got rid of him in a certain sense. In the end, they got him crucified. Right? So they hated him. So now Jesus is just basically saying their hatred for him shows that they hate the Father. That would have been for these guys. Oh, wow, we got Jesus crucified. And actually, what does it show? The only thing it shows is that we hate the Father. And they claim that God is their Father, right? Yeah. Verse 24. If I had not done among them the works that no one else did, they would not be guilty of sin. But now they have seen and hated both me and my Father. So, again, is Jesus here saying, so if he didn't then do the works, then it would be better for him, right? Because they would not be guilty of sin? No, that is again not what he is saying, because it will be contradictory, right? He is again just saying that now these things, these signs that he did, John put them together in such a way to prove clearly that he is who he claimed to be. Okay, no excuse. So if nature speaks so loud about who he is, that they're sinners, right? So much more than Jesus in the previous verse. And in the same way, these works, not only nature, not these works, but the works as well, not just the words, but the works as well speak clearly. So if he didn't, then the works would not be, still they would have been guilty, still they would have been in hell, right? That's just that. But now there's something double more. It's like Jesus spoke about this whole idea when they asked him about the tower that collapsed. Like, oh, were they more sinful than the rest? Kind of. That's why the tower collapsed. He said, no. The people in Sodom and Gomorrah, it will be easier for them in the day of reckoning than for the people in Nazareth who was born ultimately, right? Because Jesus is there. See, that is what Jesus as well in these verses are getting at. Right? So no, ultimately they're guilty of sin, right? And they sin and they hated both me and my Father. Again, for the original readers, not so much. I mean, for us as well, but all those guys reading the first time, again telling them now the umpteenth time, you by hating me, by crucifying me, it shows your hatred for me shows that you hate the Father as well. And that ought to get them to think about what they ultimately did. Verse 25. But the word that is written in the law must be fulfilled. They hated me without a cause. Right? It's written in the law. They're going to hate me. Hate me without a cause. That's just that. Right? The word is fulfilled. They hated Jesus without a cause. What did he do wrong? He didn't break one law. He just did all these deeds of helping, of healing, of all of these things. You wouldn't think someone like that deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. Seemingly these days, people get Nobel Peace Prizes for doing bad things, and not so much for doing good things. Okay, that is unlikely what seemingly these days, but that's the world, because the world loves its own. Jesus said in this chapter. So they hated him because he's not of the world. They'll hate you because you're not of this world.